Hello and welcome to Pock and Rob. Today's video is a tracks of my years. I haven't done a Beatle one in a while, so I'm going to indulge with a Beatle video. Now, to do a 30 best tracks of the Beatles would be really hard work at the moment. They are my favourite band. If you've watched any previous videos, you will already know this. So I have divided their career up into what I think is 3 distinct stages. This is the mop top phase, which is everything up to and including the release of Beatles for Sale and the I Feel Fine single at the end of 1964. Before I dive in, I just remind you to hit the thumbs up to like the video, click the subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and hit the bell to receive notifications of future content. And let's go in with track number 30 and 29. They are both from the With the Beatles album. They're both cover versions. At number 30, Roll Over Beethoven, the Chuck Berry song, one of George's finest early vocals. And 29, the album closer, Money. Yes, they may have been trying to replicate the formula a little bit too much of the Please Please Me record, but I think Money is a great cover version, the original done by Barrett Strong. And number 28 is the first original on this list from Hard Day's Night, it's You Can't Do That. Now, I think this was at one point considered for inclusion in the movie itself. However, it is from side B, which was non-movie songs. And number 27, also from Hard Day's Night, it's George's vocal on the record, it's I'm Happy Just to Dance With You. Now, this was included in the film and written by John, given to George to sing. And number 26 is the song that started it all. It's Love Me Do. Now, yes, Love Me Do is an incredibly simple song. I do prefer to hear the version that's got Ringo on it because that, for me, is the true Beatles rather than the Andy White sessions. But Love Me Do's timeless. Ridiculously simple and doesn't do a lot, but it does it so well. Number 25 is a song that John dismissed as rubbish later on in his life. It's a Paul song, but he sings it, and it was a number 1 in America from Beatles for Sale. It's 8 days a week. And number 24 is a standalone. This is a single. It's I Want to Hold Your Hand. This is the song that took America by storm and gave us that ridiculous thing that became Beatlemania in America and the British invasion. I Want to Hold Your Hand is what kicked open the doors. And number 23 is the single that came straight after that, and it's from Hard Day's Night. It's Can't Buy Me Love. This, I think, is one of Paul's best simple pop songs. And number 22 from With the Beatles is the opening track, It Won't Be Long. You've got that fantastic counterpoint vocal, almost yelping between John and Paul, and it sets the stall for the record, which I personally think is better than Please Please Me. And number 21 is the B-side to I Want to Hold Your Hand, it's This Boy. The 3-part harmony between John, Paul and George is absolutely stunning. They should have done that so much more often in their career because the blend was amazing. This Boy does feature in A Hard Day's Night, but only in instrumental format, where it's also known as Ringo's theme. And number 20, 19 and 18 are 3 tracks all pulled from the Hard Day's Night record. Number 20 is Anytime at All. This is the opening track of side 2. Number 19 is I'll Be Back, the closing track of side 2. So neither of these songs made it into the film. And 18, Hard Day's Night, and one of the last things that was recorded. This is one of those things that came out of a Ringo malapropism where he made an odd phrase and they turned it into a song. This typifies the entire Hard Day's Night album for me. So we've got the soft, gentle stuff like I'll Be Back, that incredible chord that opens Hard Day's Night and the energy in that, and we've got the energy of Anytime at All and those additional tracks that John was on fire writing this. He wrote 10 of the 13 tracks on this record, and none of them are duds. And number 17 is a cover version. It's from With the Beatles, and it's Till There Was You. So this is from the musical The Music Man. Paul sings this brilliantly. It's something he's done throughout his career where I suppose Till There Was You is the progenitor of the terrible Kisses on the Bottom album that he made at the beginning of the 2010s. But it's shown that he's always had an interest in this kind of music. And number 16 is from Hard Day's Night. It's Paul's great ballad, And I Love Her. This sets the stall for the fact that balladeer Paul was going to be important in terms of their songwriting. Also from Hard Day's Night is number 15, which is I Should Have Known Better, which I think I first came across in the Stars on 45 Beatle medley. And I've always liked I Should Have Known Better. I think it feels to me like a bit of almost a forgotten song in their canon, but I Should Have Known Better is great. Number 14 is a cover. The mark of a great cover version is the fact that people think this is the original. And it's Twist and Shout, the song that closes side 2 and the whole of the Please Please Me album. John was unwell the day they recorded the majority of the tracks on Please Please Me. He had got vocal problems and he recorded this in one take because he couldn't have done another. Twist and Shout is just screamingly brilliant. And number 13, and it could have swapped places with Twist and Shout, is another cover from Please Please Me. It's A Taste of Honey. It's a great cover song. I love Paul's vocals on it. Number 13. At number 12, I have placed track 2 from With the Beatles, It's All I Gotta Do. So we have the high octane opener of It Won't Be Long. We then calm things down a little bit with All I Gotta Do. Another great John song. And number 11 is a song that I dismissed when I was younger. I didn't like it. It's from my least favourite album from this period, which is Beatles for Sale. And it's What You're Doing. What's caused this song to rise in my affections over the many years is the Love album. And the fact that it sounds brilliant when it's mashed up with Drive My Car and The Word. And that little bit from Taxman as well. It's made me revisit the song and realise that What You're Doing is simple, understated brilliance. Into my top 10, and we're going to go to Hard Day's Night for If I Fell. This is just a masterclass in harmonies between Paul and John. And again, it's another John song. He wrote 10 of them. If I Fell is just an absolutely beautiful ballad. And actually the chords are by no means typical. At number 9, No Reply from Beatles for Sale, the opening track. There's a great story in this song. And this is John the storyteller at his best in this early period. And number 8 is a B-side to a song that I'm not that fond of, which is I Feel Fine. But the B-side was She's a Woman. Now, Paul tossed this off in an afternoon when they needed a B-side. I've seen it come down right near the bottom of Beatle ranking lists, and it's a shame that there is nothing wasted in their playing and the song She's a Woman. Yes, it's a straight 12-bar blues in many ways, but it's just great. And I used to think that the lyrics were a little bit cringy. I know that she's no peasant, but I don't care. It's just there's nothing wasted in She's a Woman. And number 7 is my highest placed cover version. Now, I've already picked cover versions from 3 of the albums. This one isn't from an album, but it's my favourite cover. It's Long Tall Sally from the Long Tall Sally EP. Paul absolutely nails his Little Richard voice on this song. The band recorded this in one take. Now go and listen to it again and realise that there are no overdubs, there are no changes. One take and done, and they were out. That's phenomenal. Long Tall Sally at number 7. And number 6, returning to Beatles for Sale, where their songwriting was most definitely maturing at this point, for Babies in Black. And again, another masterclass in Paul and John's harmonies. It's quite a downbeat song. In fact, you could argue that the album itself is generally pretty downbeat. Even the covers seem to lack a little bit of energy compared to Please Please Me and With the Beatles. But Babies in Black is a beautiful harmonised song, but it's not my favourite track from Beatles for Sale because that's at number 5. And I'm afraid to say it's I'll Follow the Sun. If you watched my video doing the Beatles' worst album, that whole idea of taking the worst track from each album, and then I did the corollary to that straight after, which was their best album, I'll Follow the Sun was my favourite track. which means that there's going to be no surprise on the next 3 tracks, because at number 4 is my favourite track from Please Please Me. I Saw Her Standing There. What an explosive track that announced the Beatles to the world. At number 3, Things We Said Today from Hard Day's Night. Again, it's a Paul track. I make no apology for the fact that I'm a Paul McCartney fan. And at number 2, from With the Beatles, is All My Loving. Now, this has a special place for me, as when my wife was pregnant with our daughter, I used to sing this to my daughter in the womb. And it captures the sentiment that I'm going to give all my loving to this little person, whoever it turns out to be. All 4 tracks are Paul written. All 4 tracks are my favourite from each of the albums, which means we have a non-album track at number 1. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, including the Beatles ones, you'll know that this song I rank really highly. It's in my top 100 of all time. In fact, I think it's in my top 20, if not my top 10. It's She Loves You. It's just the perfect blend of Paul and John in terms of their writing. It's flawed. The actual recording is flawed. You can hear the join between takes. There are many that actually suggest that the performance on Zilipdik is actually better because that was a complete re-recording. But whether it be She Loves You or Zilipdik, it's my number 1 from this era of the Beatles. So that concludes my 30 tracks of my years from the Mop Top era. Let me know in the comments below what yours are. What are your favourite Beatles tracks from this period? Do you include or consider the cover versions? Because there are some absolutely definitive covers from this period. I'll be back in a week with another video. But until then, I remind you to like, subscribe and hit the bell. And I'll see you in a week. Thanks for watching.